I just want to start off by thanking Compass for Kids for asking me to be the speaker for the brunch and giving me the opportunity to speak about the wonderful kids that I met, how wonderful the program is, and how impactful it can be in our community. So, as a kid growing up, I've lived all over the place, including Springfield. I've lived in 5 capital cities. Until I got to Springfield, I never actually could see what my vision, what my purpose was. And then I moved here in 2022 and started working for District 186 as face liaison for special education. And by doing that, I got a chance to work with a lot of different families and a lot of different kids and see one place that I can really make an impact is with our underprivileged children. And our underprivileged children, to me, are very much like a rookie in the NFL. They need the right coach, they need the right offensive line, they need the right skill positions around them in order to be able to quarterback their own destiny. So for me, when you're working with underprivileged kids, you need a full support system. So the school district is the offensive line to protect them from any kind of dangers that might come and present themselves. Your outlets like sports and music and art are your creative outlets, who are your skill position players that allow them to really showcase what they can do in different ways. But arguably the most important aspect of the system is the coach. And I think the coach is where Compass for Kids comes in. What the coach would do is help develop the skills that you have naturally or maybe that you don't have and show you how to hone them and refine them and become the best version of yourself that you can be. A lot of our underprivileged children are viewed like a 7th round draft pick, but for anyone who's an NFL fan, a 7th round draft pick with the right coach can turn into a Tom Brady. And I feel like that's what Compass for Kids is doing for our underprivileged children here in Springfield. When I started working as a face liaison, close to Christmas time, I was asked to help take 3 kids to get their eye examined, get their glasses, and the glasses were completely free. I spent about 3 hours with these children, and they were a brother and a sister and a cousin who don't have a lot to eat at home, don't have a lot of money, but they have a very close-knit family that even though they struggle, their grandparents want what's best for them. And so through interacting with them, I built a relationship with their family and started to visit them more and more often. And they had a very, very rough year academically, as far as being able to get to school because they live pretty far away on the other side of Springfield from where their school is. So with 8 or 9 kids that are in the house, if they miss the bus, well, they were missing out on school. They were missing a lot of skill development and learning and social interaction. And at one point, they seemed to kind of get written off, as kids who couldn't do certain things. And it was very discouraging. Even when I moved on to the city and became director of community relations, I continued to have a relationship with this family because I didn't want to leave these kids, out in the cold. And then I came to the shareholders breakfast for Camp Compass. And I walked into a classroom and I heard was, "I know you." And sure enough, it was 2 of the kids that I took to get their glasses done. And they were so happy to see me, and I just gave them big hugs and stood off in the corner. And then I watched them go through reading and break down phonics and be able to sit with other students and not disrupt and pay attention. Then I found out their cousin was in another classroom, and I went to see him. And this is a kid who, when I met him, could not sit still at all. But I went in and he was sitting on an iPad with his headphones on, and he was reading quietly. And he saw me, and he got up, and he put his iPad down, and he gave me a big hug, and he told me his mom had got the new house that she was working on trying to get, that I had been trying to help her get. And then he went and he put his headphones back on and went back to reading. These are children who they were told, their grandparents were told their reading level was extremely low, they couldn't pay attention in class, they were disruption. But seeing them at Camp Compass was like seeing the kids that their grandmother talks about all the time. The caring kids, the hardworking kids, the nurturing kids, the kids who really want to explore and learn whenever they have the opportunity to. They don't always have the opportunity to. These are kids who, they might not have had the greatest relationship with their teachers from this past year. So they felt like they had no offensive line, felt like they had no protection. They haven't had the money or the means or the resources to go play sports or go explore arts or go explore music. So they haven't had any kind of outlet. So if you're the quarterback of your own destiny, you have no protection and nobody to throw the ball to, you might get labeled in with not being a very good quarterback. By coming to Camp Compass, they had the right coach. And even with lacking the weapons and resources that our other kids have who are much more privileged, they're able to show what they can do and succeed. And by showing what they can do and succeed, they are able to build confidence. They were able to smile. They were able to be happy. For an older brother who's 8 years old, who has a younger sister who has trouble seeing, has trouble staying on task, always feels like he has to defend her and protect her and be a good big brother. To see him be able to let her be on her own side of the room, doing her work and feeling safe and comfortable as a big brother that she was okay, and he could focus on his reading, and he could raise his hand, and he could take his time and prove he was the star student. You know, that was very fulfilling and very enriching to me, and I feel like that's why a program like Compass for Kids is so necessary. We have many different nonprofits and many different organizations in Springfield that do great work, but inevitably you can't cover every area of need, every area of service. And for our underprivileged kids, that's what Compass does. They provide them with coaching, they provide them with nurturing, they provide them with love, they provide them with an environment that without Compass they wouldn't be able to have, especially for Camp Compass over the summer. There's multiple different locations. For me as a kid, I loved summer vacation because I would go to camp all summer and I would see new friends and I would make arts and crafts and I would play sports and we would sing songs and we had a spirit stick and it was great camaraderie. And I was learning and I was improving my skills, not realizing that I was improving my skills and learning. But the difference is I was blessed enough to have parents that put me in an opportunity where I had privileges and was able to do things that other children were not able to do. Through Compass, these kids who are told they're going to be able to do nothing or maybe not have any hopes, dreams, and aspirations because it doesn't seem realistic or attainable are given that opportunity and given that opportunity at no cost. And that's something we desperately need in this world. If we could do more things for our neighbors or the people we see on the street for no cost, just out of the kindness of our heart, we would live in a better world and it would be a better place. But for kids, especially underprivileged kids who are in that situation from no fault of their own, they're just born into this world, into the circumstances they have, for them to get an opportunity to really be a kid, to not have adult responsibilities, if only for a little while during the day, to not have to feel like they're different from everybody else, to not have the anxiety of being singled out or left out, but to be around other kids who are like them, who might not have those opportunities and get to just be themselves and be kids and enjoy learning and enjoy the environment and enjoy their counselors, their mentors. I don't want to call them teachers because that's really not the Camp Compass environment over the summer. And that's another important point, is sometimes it takes different perspectives, different angles of attack in order to actually unlock a child's full potential. Some children might just have anxiety from sitting in a normal classroom setting and being taught behind a desk. But at Camp Compass, that's not what's happening. They're in different individual groups. They really get to know the leaders that they're working with. They're called kiddos and not students. It's a difference in mindset. It's a difference in mentality. And for a lot of kids who, during the school year, they deal with a lot of their problems at home. They deal with a lot of their struggles of feeling different. With Compass, they get an opportunity to just be a part of the group and be themselves with no pressure, with no expectations, with no anxiety, and they can succeed. And then when they go back to school the next year, well, yeah, the environment might not be the same, but they have more confidence in themselves than they did the year before. They have more skills than they did the year before. They're a little bit more comfortable with being themselves and being around people than they were before. And I feel like that's what we all want. We all have things that we're not confident about, that we're not comfortable with, that we wish we could do a little bit better at, or we wish we had worked a little harder at, or we wish that we had developed a little bit more. So for these kids to get the opportunity to develop all the skills they want to and be who they want to be, become the leaders that they want to be, become the kids that when they become young adults are going to be able to come back to Compass and say, I was one of these kids. I was one of you great kids with potential, and I just needed somebody to see it. I just needed somebody to give me an opportunity. I just needed somebody to provide me a resource. And look what I was able to do with it. Some of these kids one day will be CEOs, they'll be movie stars, they'll be lawyers, they'll be doctors, they'll be teachers, they'll be firefighters, they'll be police officers, they'll be construction workers, they'll be astronauts. If you ask them, they'll tell you a million different things that they're going to be. And because of all the enrichment they've gotten through Compass, there's no doubt in my mind that they'll achieve that. There's nothing that these kids can't do as long as we help give them a chance and provide them with things that life in the world just didn't provide. They're playing the game the best way they can with the hand that they're dealt. Well, Compass is an ace up the sleeve. And if we can give these kids an ace up the sleeve just to put them on equal footing with the other kids who are in their class and the other kids that they're growing up next to, well, then you can get a chance to see what they can really do. That's why Compass is important. That's why I'm speaking to you. That's why you're all here. That's why you all love this organization. Because it gives kids who deserve a chance. And the more we support Compass, the more we support these kids. And the more we support these kids, the more we can see what they can do. Can't wait to see it.